Hello, this is Daniel Mart back again. I'm an actor and filmmaker based out of South Florida, and for this video, for its 30th anniversary, I'm going to be doing a review of The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Disney. Yes, that movie, arguably Disney's darkest film, by like a country mile, honestly. I mean, when you have a rapey priest, I mean, it's pretty hard to top that. And they have tried to top it on a few occasions, even during this time in the Renaissance. But hey, here you go, let's go for it. So yeah, Hunchback of Notre Dame. This is, like I said, one of the darkest Disney films, probably one of the most darkest children's films, animated children's films, also within that scope, when you really think about it, within that avenue, when you really think about it. Again, it's its 30th anniversary, and really, what's there to say about this movie outside of how dark it is? For me, this is one of those movies I actually didn't watch for the first time until 10 years ago, when it was its 20th anniversary, when I did a review for it on my old channel, funny enough, and actually that turned out to be one of my most watched videos, generally speaking, within that time. Funny enough, I think it has maybe like 500 views, somewhere around there. So yeah, that's the first time I saw it. I never really saw it as a child. I knew Hellfire as a song, of course. I think everybody knows Hellfire as a song. Again, probably Disney's darkest song. I think Be Prepared probably gives it a run for its money, but Hellfire for sure. Maybe Poor Unfortunate Toads also gives it a run for its money, maybe. But again, you're singing about, it's a priest singing about wanting to be with a woman. and that's me putting a PG. But let's get on to the actual concept, actual plot of this movie. Here we have Quasimodo, the actual Hunchback of Notre Dame. And yeah, he's stuck in the bell tower. He is the bell keeper, ringing the bells every hour, so to speak. And he is basically being controlled by Judge Claude Frollo. Again, arguably the best Disney villain they've had. I would say even over Scar, to be honest with you. In a lot of ways, I'm going to say this straight up. Hunchback of Notre Dame is arguably one of my favorite Disney films. Probably is my favorite Disney film. If you exclude stuff like Pixar, which would then, in that case, I would have to include WALL-E. And then Encanto, I do love Encanto. So for me, that's like, is it Encanto or is it Hunchback? Like, it really is like that sometimes. But, you know, even comparing Encanto to Hunchback, that's also kind of a wild comparison, because Encanto is not that dark compared to this movie. And yeah, and that really is the thing with this movie. This is arguably, again, Disney's darkest film. Again, Lion King probably gives it a run for its money in some regards, in some respects. You know, same thing with like Little Mermaid, maybe even Pocahontas to a certain extent, but Pocahontas we low-key don't talk about. That's a discussion for another topic. But either way, what do we have here? Again, you have Quasimodo, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and he is being controlled by Judge Claude Frollo. During this whole time, Judge Claude Frollo is trying to basically eradicate genocide. Essentially, that's how what it is. Called spade a spade, trying to genocide the gypsies, which includes Esmeralda. So in order to do this, he hires Phoebus, a French soldier who I believe just got back from war. And yeah, chaos, in a sense, chaos, destruction, literal sin ensues throughout this whole movie. I mean, to be fair, if you're going to risk it all, I guess Esmeralda is a good one to risk it all. I mean, for me, probably Belle would still be my favorite Disney princess. I can see why someone will go for Esmeralda, you know? And it's not because of the wicked fires of hell. Nothing to do with that, if you really want to go through that avenue. But still, I mean, Phoebus also risked it all just for Esmeralda, so it really has nothing to do with the wicked fires of hell. It's just the fact that that's what you're trying to use to justify your sinful, lustful thoughts, Claude Frollo. So there we go. And also, he's not a priest, he's a judge. Judge Claude Frollo. Now I think about it, but still, very much of the frock in some respects. You know, again, the church, the actual sanctity, I guess, of the church, that's the best way to word it, is actually used a lot. You know, they use Sanctuary a lot. I mean, that is a song here in the film Sanctuary. By the way, some of the best songs, I mean, I know I talked about Hellfire, and just, first off, the imagery for Hellfire with, like, these priests, I guess, I don't know what else to call them, like these priests with like the red gowns or whatever, like that's just like a haunting image, especially at the end when he's like up against a wall, when Frollo's up against a wall, and and like the little fires of hell involved or mixed in, better said, with these like, again, red clothed, robed priests. I don't know what to call them. Like, that is just a haunting images. But you also have a bunch of other great songs, like Bells of Notre Dame, like the intro song Bells of Notre Dame, I would say is like one of the best songs. I would actually put it up there with Hakuna Matata. I would put it up there with Belle from Beauty and the Beast, the very first song, and that one, it is called Belle, I believe. But yeah, it is one, I would say it's probably up there in terms of Disney songs, especially with the intro songs. But you also have something like God's Help the Outcast, which I think is kind of an underrated song. A song that I've really come to appreciate now in this rewatch is Out There. It's one that I've really come to appreciate there, because you really just do see how depraved in a lot of ways, especially in the animation, how depraved in a lot of ways Frollo is towards Quasimodo, because it's all about subtlety. Like, we talk about the subtlety in acting a lot, but this is an animated film, so yes, the subtlety comes from the voice performances a lot, but the animators are also working their ass off and adding those subtle details. So like when he's saying, like, I don't know the lyrics, to be honest. I don't remember the lyrics like that, but at the very beginning, like, he's Frollo. The animation, it's like he's luring him in with his fingers, like telling him to come in this way, like, like with these hand movements, so to speak. And you just hear also Quasimodo, like, yes, when you talk about subtlety, the subtlety also comes from the voice performances and the singing as well. And you just hear Frollo saying, you are ugly, and then Quasimodo repeats it, I am ugly, and it's just like so heartbreaking. Like, I don't know why, but this go around of watching it, like, out there, really, like, stuck with me, if that makes sense. I really don't know how to describe it. Like it just pierced me. I guess I never really realized how tragic of a song Out There is, because especially towards the latter half of that song, it's him wanting to break free. It's Quasimodo wanting to break free, wanting to be at the Festival of Fools, right? That's what it's called, being at the Festival of Fools. And also just the Festival of Fools, that's a tongue twister. The Festival of Fools, that whole sequence when they think he's wearing a mask and it turns out it's not a mask because it's his actual face, like, that whole thing, that's also kind of tragic. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that, in this go-around, this rewatch of the movie, I just found a lot more tragic. And that's one of those things that does tie into, like, how dark, in a sense, some of these elements of the movie really are. Because it's not just about Claude Frollo and him lusting, sinning, being prideful, causing a genocide over Esmeralda and the Gypsies. It's not just that, but it's also the sins he's done against Quasimodo, quite literally killing his mother at the beginning of the film, when she's trying to claim sanctuary. Him about to literally murder a baby, but also him isolating that baby from human contact. I mean, in real life, would Quasimodo be considered ugly? I mean, he'd be deformed. I mean, yes, I guess in that very general sense, sure. But that's also not a reason to shun anybody. And he uses that as a justification to shun people. And then something that really hit me is that Quasimodo himself, he's also a gypsy, when you think about it, because his mom was a gypsy. Therefore, Quasimodo is also a gypsy. And that's something that really didn't hit me actually, I was watching the second movie, of all things. Yes, I decided to watch the second movie. I actually don't mind the second movie. Quick review on the second movie. I don't mind it. Of course, it's not as good as the original because, no duh. But, like, I don't mind it. I think it's, like, pretty whatever. So, there's my quick review on the second movie, Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. There we go. But yeah, on to the rest of this film, to this thing. Like, the voice cast here is amazing. Like, Tony J. Look, I'll be honest, I don't know what else Tony J has been. I'm sure I've seen other stuff with Tony J. I guarantee it. But off the top of my head, you say Tony J, and I think Claude Frollo. It's like that. Demi Moore is in this movie. She's Esmeralda, and it's like one of those things you kind of forget. Oh yeah, Demi Moore, during this whole time in the 90s, when she was doing stuff like A Few Good Men, for example, she was also in this movie. She was also in a Disney movie. She was Esmeralda. And that's something that I always kind of forget until I look at the voice cast here. Tom Holtz, however you pronounce his last name. He's pretty sure he's Quasimodo, right? Because Kevin Kline he's Phoebus, right? Like, I think they did great. Like, the voice cast here is, like, great. It's not iconic, I'll say that much, in the sense of, like it's not like Aladdin where you have Robin Williams. I think Robin Williams is probably their best get for a voice actor. And Tommy J, I wouldn't put it on the level as Jeremy Irons, honestly, in Lion King either. I think Jeremy Irons, people know Jeremy Irons was in The Lion King. I think but like I said, people forget Demi Moore was in this movie. I feel like more people would know that Christian Bale and Mel Gibson were in Pocahontas than they can say Demi Moore was in this. So in that sense, like, it's iconic in one sense, but like, I don't think it's memorable. But still, the voice casting, the voice performances were great. I do wonder, now I think about it, because I think this would be the case for Tony J, but for Demi Moore, did she also sing? Did Tom Holtz, did he also sing, or was that somebody else? That's something I'd be curious to know, now I think about it. But I mean, like, the singing is incredible. Again, some of the best songs across the Renaissance. Like, if you really want to compare to, like, villain songs, Hellfire, that goes toe-to-toe with No, I Want to Be King. Oh my gosh, what's a villain song? Be Prepared. With Poor Unfortunate Soul, with Savages, like, I would put them on that level. What else? I mean, like, the intro song, like I said beforehand, this goes right there toe-to-toe with Hakuna Matata, with Not a Whole New World. Oh my gosh, why am I forgetting these songs? Oh my gosh. It's Not a Whole New World. What's the song? What's the song from Aladdin? Arabian Nights. Is that the intro song to it? I'm kind of just making out songs right now, but like, some of these songs I would say are some of the better ones. Like I would actually say, like, this is probably Disney's most underrated soundtrack. I'm trying to think. Like I would say that. All right, I feel like Pocahontas, as much issues as I have with Pocahontas, I think they may also have a pretty underrated soundtrack, and so does Tarzan. Nothing about it. So, all right, I would say like maybe in soundtrack, maybe they're kind of underrated in some regards, but still some of the strongest songs just across the board. Like I said, out there really hit me this time around. God Save the Outcast. That's one I've always enjoyed. Honestly, like that's one that I've always enjoyed. I'm pretty sure that's like the I Want song. I think that'd be the closest thing to an I Want song there in this movie. And like even compared to like I Want to Be King, I just can't wait to be king. Like that's a little bit more joking, whereas this is a lot more serious. Like this is also like arguably like even outside of being Disney's darkest film, this is probably Disney's most serious film because of the topics. I think those in a sense goes hand in hand because I can't think of another movie especially within the Disney Renaissance that's as maybe Mulan. Maybe Mulan is maybe the most serious one like that competes with this, and I guess Pocahontas because it's also real life, but Pocahontas has a lot of issues, which we want to talk about that right now. I'm gonna just say straight up right now, I think Pocahontas is probably the weakest film within the Disney Renaissance if we exclude The Rescuers Down Under. If we exclude that, because that technically is also Disney Renaissance. If we exclude that one, Pocahontas may be the weakest one out of the bunch. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think Hunchback is great. It's one of those films that like I always find it wild that Disney made this movie. Because here's the thing, because I've seen other adaptations of Hunchback. And it's one of those things like some of this depravity, some of this darkness, so to speak, isn't really found in other adaptations of the movie. And so it's kind of wild that Disney like went full force with this. Because usually what they try to do, like I'm going to take Little Mermaid as an example here. Usually what they try to do is they try to lessen the darkness in the film, in the movie. Or for the movie, better said, from book to movie, they usually try to lessen the darkness because, for example, in Little Mermaid, she turns into foam. She commits suicide and turns into foam at the very end. Cinderella, for example, the stepsisters they cut off their feet or they cut off like their toes or whatever to try to get their feet into the glass slipper. If anything, I think this is like the only example I can think of where they actually made the story more dark. Funny enough, so yeah, I find that kind of ironic when you think about it. But yeah, and of course it's of the church. I mean again, Hellfire. Jesus, I keep going back to Hellfire, but like all the other stuff with that, like just the fiery pits of hell, how he quite literally Frodo in his sinful nature of lust and pride, and I'd even say gluttony to a certain extent, in a lot of ways just damning the name of God. Like at the very end, yeah, those are quite literally, like Paris is quite literally, or Notre Dame is like quite literally the fiery pits of hell that he was literally just thinking about 20-30 minutes ago. The imagery about that, again, it just goes back to the darkness. Like it very much amazes me. It very much amazes me that Disney made this film. It's incredible that they made this film, and I absolutely love it for it. I think it's great. Like clearly I'm like gushing over this film. The one thing I do know a lot of people do comment on about this film, and it's not that I don't disagree, but it's just that I don't care. If I'm being honest with you, like it's never really been an issue for me. I genuinely don't care. Is the gargoyles? So a lot of people take issue with the gargoyles because they think like, oh, like yes, we understand there needs to be a comedic element to this, but like sometimes their comedy doesn't fit or the timing is off, this and the other. For me, it's never really been an issue. I've never really cared about it. Like I understand why people critique it, but I've never really had an issue with it. Jason Alexander, from Seinfeld, he was one of the gargoyles. They did good. I've never really had an issue with the gargoyles. Like I understand the complaints, but for me personally, I've never had an issue with it. So it's just kind of there in a sense, I think they're fun. They do have one song. I forget what it's called. I think that's probably the least memorable song they have in this whole movie. The one song they have there. Oh, Heaven's Light. I just remember Heaven's Light. It's also like the intro right before Heaven's Light. It's Heaven's Light right into Hellfire. That's also great. I'm gushing over this movie, but yeah, it's really all I have to say about this movie. I mean, it's incredible. It's just crazy that they took the story and made it darker because usually they're trying to make darkness lighter, and here they made it lighter, darker. It's just crazy that they made this story, made this movie. The fact that people love it. This is one of those things. Like if they ever, I don't think they should do live action Hunchback. That's for starters. I don't think they should. But I feel like if they could, they would. And I am curious if they ever would turn this into live action. I think the one issue would have to be if they ever turn this into live action. I think the one thing would be like the portrayal of Quasimodo, because I know people have read them as like autistic or something like that. I'm like, do you go that avenue? Do you not? Do you maybe make him low-key schizo because of the gargoyles, or do you just completely take out the gargoyles? Like, that's an interesting question. And then also, how do you compete with Tony Jay's performance as Claude Frollo? Like that's one of those, like, who do you get? Like maybe Ian McKellen? Like that's like I'm trying to think, like, or like Charles Dance, and then for Esmeralda, who's the girl from Obsession? Maybe her, maybe her, but she's not gypsy. Are gypsies Middle Eastern? Because the girl from Obsession, she's Hispanic, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, I guess gypsies are Spanish, though, so... I don't know why. I guess Phoebus, Glen Powell, that's the first one that comes up to my mind. I guess Quasimodo, I mean, would this be kind of jacked up of me to say, but Genima Zarazo? Would that be jacked up of me to say? Because he does have a facial deformity. I mean, I don't think they should do live action Hunchback in the first place, but if they are, I mean, I guess there's some ideas. Have at it, but please don't. But yeah, that's basically it for now. I mean, overall, just an incredible film, a fantastic film. Honestly, one of my favorite films from Disney in general, and it's still wild that they were able to make this, that they were allowed to make this in a lot of sense because of how dark it is. Music in this film is just top tier. Everything about this movie is top tier. That's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.